The Awakening Beyond Stars commander Ilara Voss stood alone on the observation deck of the Alliance warship Aegis, her weathered hands gripping the cold metal railing as she watched the stars streak by in brilliant ribbons of light. At 43, she was considered young for her position, but the war had accelerated promotions as it had accelerated everything else: technological development, interspecies diplomacy, and death. Earth had fallen 3 standard years ago. The Dominion, a collective of 7 technologically advanced species, had descended upon humanity's homeworld with overwhelming force. Their stated purpose was simple: absorb humanity into their hierarchy or eradicate them entirely. The choice had seemed clear until the Resistance discovered something buried in ancient human myths, a truth hidden in plain sight. Commander, the ship's AI, Nova, spoke with a voice deliberately designed to sound almost human, but not quite. Admiral Chen requests your presence on the bridge. We're approaching the coordinates. Ilara nodded, though there was no camera to see the gesture. Nova perceived everything aboard the Aegis. Tell him I'm on my way. She allowed herself one last look at the swirling cosmos beyond the reinforced transparasteel viewport. Somewhere out there, Earth continued its silent orbit, around a yellow star now under Dominion control. 17 billion humans had perished in the initial assault. Another 5 billion lived under occupation. And here, aboard the last significant Alliance warship, 3,000 souls carried the burden of humanity's final hope. The corridors of the Aegis hummed with activity as Ilara made her way to the bridge. Crew members stepped aside respectfully, many offering brief salutes. They all knew what was at stake. The coordinates they followed had been discovered in the oldest human archives, fragments of stone tablets dating back 30,000 years, preserved in what was once called Antarctica, before the ice caps melted in the 21st century. The bridge doors hissed open as Ilara approached. Admiral Chen stood at the central command hub, his silver-streaked black hair pulled back in a traditional queue. At 65, he was one of the few high-ranking officers to survive the fall of Earth. Commander Voss, he acknowledged without turning. We're about to reach the boundary. Ilara took her position at tactical. Any sign of Dominion pursuit? None, answered Lieutenant Reyes from the sensor station. Either we've truly lost them or they can't track us in this region. Or they're letting us lead them somewhere, Ilara suggested, ever the pragmatist. Admiral Chen finally turned, his weathered face etched with lines of fatigue and responsibility. Whatever awaits us at these coordinates, it represents our last hope. The archives spoke of guardians, beings who watched over humanity's evolution and left when we were deemed ready to stand alone. With respect, Admiral, Ilara said, those tablets were 30,000 years old. If such beings existed, why didn't they intervene when the Dominion attacked? Perhaps they're testing us, Chen replied. Or perhaps they're long gone. Either way, these coordinates are all we have left. The main view screen showed only empty space ahead, yet according to their most precise instruments, they had arrived. Disappointment began to ripple through the bridge crew. Full sensor sweep, Chen ordered. There must be something here. Lieutenant. Reyes worked her console with practiced efficiency. Admiral, I'm detecting unusual quantum fluctuations directly ahead. It's as if space itself is folded. A dimensional barrier? Ilara suggested, moving to examine the readings. Possibly, Reyes confirmed. But unlike anything in our databases. Admiral Chen's face hardened with resolve. This is it. Initiate. Contact Protocol Alpha. All non-essential systems to standby. Divert power to shields and sensors. The Aegis oriented itself toward the invisible anomaly. For several tense minutes, nothing happened. Then, without warning, the stars ahead began to shift as if viewed through rippling water. A vast, swirling vortex of light materialized before them, its center a perfect darkness that seemed to swallow all illumination. We're receiving a transmission, announced Communications Officer Park. But it's not on any known frequency. It's manifesting directly in our neural interfaces. Ilara felt it then, a presence touching her mind with gentle precision. Not invasive, but questioning. Curious. Who comes to the threshold of the ascended? The thought formed in her mind with crystal clarity, though she heard nothing with her ears. Admiral Chen gripped the command rail, his knuckles white. From his expression, Alara knew he heard it too. "This is Admiral Liang Chen of the Alliance warship Aegis," he spoke aloud. "We represent humanity in its darkest hour, seeking aid against extinction." A pause followed, during which Alara felt as if something vast and ancient was sifting through her memories, her hopes, her fears. It should have been terrifying, but instead felt somehow familiar. "The children return at last," came the response. "Enter and be judged." The vortex expanded, enveloping the Aegis in tendrils of light that penetrated the hull without damaging it. Alarm klaxons blared momentarily before failing silent. Every system on the ship flickered and stabilized. "We're moving," Reyes reported unnecessarily. Everyone could feel it. The ship was being drawn forward into the darkness at the center of the vortex. "All hands prepare for transition," Chen ordered, his voice steady despite the unprecedented situation. Alara gripped her station as reality itself seemed to stretch around them. The sensation lasted only moments before the view screen erupted with new light. They had emerged into a vast enclosed space, a sphere of impossible size, its inner surface glowing with soft blue illumination. Floating within this cosmic cathedral were structures of crystalline material arranged in complex geometric patterns. Each crystal pulsed with inner light, communicating in some silent language with its neighbors. "My God," breathed Admiral Chen. "Sensors indicate we're in a pocket dimension," Reyes reported, her voice hushed with awe. "The space inside exceeds the volume we observed from outside by a factor of thousands." At the center of this vast space hovered a luminous entity, not solid, not gaseous, but something in between. It shifted and flowed like liquid light, occasionally resolving into almost recognizable shapes before dissolving again. "Commander Alara," Voss, the presence touched her mind directly now, stepped forward as humanity's representative. All eyes on the bridge turned to her in shock. Admiral Chen recovered first. "Why her?" he demanded of the entity. "She carries the marker we left within, your species. The seed of connection." Alara felt a strange resonance within her DNA, as if something dormant was awakening. Ancient genetic modifications planted by these beings millennia ago, now activating in her presence. "What are you?" she asked, stepping forward. "We have been called many names by many species. To the earliest humans we were gods. To later civilizations, myths. We are the Ascended, the first sentient beings in this galaxy to transcend physical form." "Why did you abandon us?" Admiral Chen demanded. "We never left," came the reply. "We merely stepped back to allow you to develop independently. Intervention breeds dependence. We wished for you to find your own path." "And now?" Alara asked. "The Dominion will exterminate us. The Dominion fears what humanity might become. They sense your potential, though they do not understand it. You stand at the threshold of your own ascension." The entity flowed closer to the ship, tendrils of light brushing against the hull like curious fingers. "You were not brought here by chance, Alara Voss. Your bloodline was cultivated across generations carrying dormant genetic keys. You are the bridge between humanity's present and its future." Alara felt something changing within her, cellular transformations accelerating beyond anything medically possible. Knowledge flooded her consciousness, understanding of technologies, beyond Alliance science, glimpses of cosmic truths that redefined her understanding of reality itself. "What's happening to me?" she gasped, watching as subtle luminescence began to emanate from her skin. "You are becoming what humanity was always meant to be, a conduit between physical and non-physical existence. The first step toward joining us among the Ascended, Admiral." Chen moved protectively toward her, but Alara raised a hand to stop him. "I'm all right," she assured him, though she was anything but. "The transformation wasn't painful. But the rush of information threatened to overwhelm her consciousness. The Dominion serves entropy, the entity continued. They fear evolution and change. They consume developing species to prevent competition. But humanity carries something they cannot suppress, the seed of transcendence we planted long ago. Images flooded Ilara's mind. Ancient astronauts visiting primitive humans. Subtle genetic modifications made across thousands of generations. The patient cultivation of potential spanning millennia. You engineered us, she whispered. We guided. You evolved. The distinction matters. The luminous entity expanded, surrounding the Aegis in a cocoon of light. Through this connection, Ilara sensed the vastness of the ascended civilization, countless beings existing in harmonious interconnection, their consciousness spanning dimensions beyond human comprehension. Will you help us fight the Dominion? Admiral Chen asked, voicing the question that had brought them across the stars. Fighting is not the answer, came the response. Transcendence is. Through Ilara, we will awaken what sleeps in all humans, the capacity to evolve beyond physical limitations. The transformation intensified. Ilara felt her consciousness expanding beyond her body, connecting with every crew member aboard the Aegis. Through her, they began to understand what humanity could become. They're coming with us, she told Admiral Chen, her voice resonating with new harmonic tones. Not physically, but through me. Through the changes they've initiated. We're going to win this war, Admiral, but not by fighting it. We're going to transcend it. As the Aegis prepared to return through the dimensional portal, Ilara Voss stood, transformed, not merely human anymore, but the herald of humanity's evolution and the vessel of its salvation. The journey back to reclaim Earth would begin with a single ship carrying a power the Dominion could neither understand nor resist, the awakened potential of humanity itself. The Liberation Protocol. The Aegis emerged from the dimensional portal, 3 days later by Alliance Standard Time. To the crew, it felt like mere moments had passed. To Ilara Voss, it had been an eternity of transformation. She stood on the bridge, outwardly unchanged, except for the subtle luminescence that occasionally rippled beneath her skin. Inwardly, she had been remade. The genetic keys planted in her ancestors thousands of generations ago had fully activated, expanding her consciousness beyond normal human limitations. Through her, the Ascended maintained a tether to the physical realm. Status report, Admiral Chen ordered as the familiar stars of the Orion arm reappeared on the view screen. All systems nominal, reported Lieutenant Reyes. But something's different. The ship's quantum efficiency has increased by 300%. Power systems are operating beyond theoretical maximums. Chief Engineer Takamoto's voice came through the comm. System. Admiral, the Ascended did something to our technology. The fusion reactors are producing clean energy at unprecedented levels, and I'm detecting new circuitry that wasn't there before. Chen turned to Ilara. You're doing? She nodded. The Ascended have enhanced our technology. It's still Alliance engineering, but optimized beyond what our science could achieve. This is only the beginning. Dominion patrol detected, announced Tactical Officer Sanchez. 3 warships on intercept course. In the past, 3 Dominion warships would have overwhelmed the Aegis despite its advanced design. Now Ilara felt only calm certainty. Hold position, she instructed. Let them come. Admiral Chen studied her face for a moment, then nodded. You, heard the commander. Battle stations, but hold fire until ordered. The Dominion vessels approached rapidly, their characteristic crescent-shaped hulls gleaming with malevolent purpose. The lead ship transmitted on an open frequency. Alliance vessel, you have entered restricted space. Power down and prepare to be boarded. Ilara stepped forward. Open a channel. When the connection was established, she spoke with authority that transcended her rank. Dominion vessels, this is Commander Ilara Voss of the Alliance. I carry a message for your consensus. Humanity's liberation begins today. Without waiting for a response, she reached out with her enhanced consciousness, touching the Dominion ship's systems. Energy flowed from her mind through the Aegis's modified communications array, manifesting as golden light that enveloped the enemy vessels. The Dominion ships froze in space, their weapons powering down, their engines falling silent. "What did you do?" Admiral Chen asked, staring at the immobilized enemy. "I've awakened something within their systems," Ilara explained. "The Dominion built their technology by assimilating other species' innovations. There are elements of early human technology in their ships, and through those elements I can reach them." On the Dominion vessels, something remarkable was happening. The enslaved crew members, beings from a dozen conquered species forced to serve their conquerors, were experiencing a mental liberation. The Dominion's neural control implants were failing as a new awareness spread through their consciousness. "The Dominion maintains control through fear and neural suppression," Ilara continued. "The Ascended have shown me how to disrupt those patterns. We won't need to destroy their ships. We'll liberate them." Within hours, the 3 Dominion ships had been transformed into the first vessels of a new alliance. Their crews, freed from neural subjugation, turned against their former masters. The few true Dominion among them were contained but unharmed. Admiral Chen convened a strategic meeting in the Aegis's conference room. Representatives from the liberated ships joined via holographic projection, beings of varied physiologies and cultures, united by their newfound freedom and their hatred of the Dominion. "The path forward is clear," Ilara explained to the assembled leaders. "We will not simply fight the Dominion, we will transform it. Each liberated ship becomes a vector for spreading this awakening." "And Earth?" asked a gruff voice. Captain Hendricks of the Resistance had joined the meeting from his hidden base in the asteroid belt. "When do we free our homeworld?" "Soon," Ilara promised. "But first we need to build our coalition. The Dominion's strength comes from forced unity. Our strength will come from willing cooperation." Over the next 3 months, the liberation spread like a benevolent virus throughout Dominion territory. Ships that went to investigate communications failures returned transformed. Outposts went silent, then re-emerged as bastions of the growing coalition. The Dominion consensus, the hive mind leadership that had directed the conquest of countless worlds, found itself increasingly isolated. On the bridge of the Aegis, now the flagship of a fleet comprising over 200 vessels from 30 different species, Ilara Voss prepared for the final push toward Earth. "The transformation you underwent," Admiral Chen said quietly as they reviewed the battle plans. "Is it permanent?" Ilara considered the question. "I'm still human, if that's what you're asking. But I'm also something more now, a bridge between what humanity is and what it can become." "And after the war?" "What then?" "Then the real work begins," she replied. "The Ascended didn't just give us the means to defeat the Dominion. They've offered humanity a path forward, evolution, without losing our essential nature." The liberation of Earth began at dawn over North America. The Alliance fleet descended through the atmosphere in perfect formation. Ilara's consciousness extended through each vessel, coordinating their movements with impossible precision. The Dominion orbital defenses, fearsome constructs that had decimated Earth's military during the initial invasion, now turned against their masters. Weapons powered down, shields failed, and automated systems rejected override commands from their controllers. On the surface, humans under Dominion control experienced a simultaneous awakening. The neural suppressors embedded in their brains short-circuited harmlessly, leaving them free for the first time in 3 years. Riots erupted in detention centers across the globe as former prisoners overwhelmed their confused guards. The Aegis landed in what had once been Central Park in New York City, now transformed into a Dominion administrative center. Ilara descended, the boarding ramp alone unarmed, her uniform crisp and her eyes glowing with inner light. Dominion representatives waited, surrounded by their elite guard. The tallest among them, a being of chitinous exoskeleton and compound eyes, stepped forward. "You have violated the natural order," it hissed in perfectly modulated English. "Lesser species exist to serve the evolved." Ilara smiled. "That's where you're fundamentally wrong. Evolution isn't a ladder with you at the top. It's a branching tree with infinite potential paths." She extended her hand, and a wave of golden energy swept across the assembled Dominion forces. There, weapons clattered to the ground as they grasped their heads, experiencing the psychic equivalent of a blindfold being removed. "What you feel is truth," Ilara explained. "For millennia, your leadership has suppressed your species' natural empathic abilities, channeling them instead into the collective consciousness you call the consensus. You were meant for connection, not domination." The liberation of Earth took less than 24 hours. Across the planet, humans emerged from hiding places and labor camps to reclaim their home. Unlike previous liberations in human history, there were no reprisals, no bloody settling of scores. Ilara's influence ensured that justice would come, through reconciliation, not revenge. 3 weeks later, a ceremony was held in the partially rebuilt United Nations headquarters. Representatives from every human nation and from 47 formerly subjugated alien species gathered to formalize the new interstellar accord. Admiral Chen, now fleet commander of the unified forces, addressed the assembly first. "We stand here today not as conquerors but as liberators, not as victims seeking revenge but as survivors offering a new path forward." When Ilara took the podium, a hush fell over the crowd. Her transformation had progressed further in the weeks since. Earth's liberation, the luminescence beneath her skin was now constantly visible, and those who stood near her reported feelings of profound peace and clarity of thought. "The Dominion believed that power came from subjugation," she began. "They conquered because they feared what other species might become if allowed to realize their potential. Today we reject that philosophy entirely." She gestured to the assembled representatives. "Look around you. Every being in this room represents a unique evolutionary path, a distinct way of experiencing and contributing to the universe. Our differences are not threats. They are our greatest strength." A holographic projection appeared above the assembly, a map of the former Dominion territories, now reorganized into autonomous regions bound by mutual defense and trade agreements. "The age of empire is over," Ilara continued. "The age of cooperation begins. And for humanity, something else emerges as well, the fulfillment of potential planted in our DNA millennia ago by the Ascended." She extended her hands, and the luminescence within her flowed outward, touching each human in the assembly. They gasped collectively as they felt the first stirrings of enhanced perception, not full transformation as Ilara had undergone, but a glimpse of what humanity might become. "This gift is not just for us," she clarified as the glow receded. "Each species carries its own unique potential. The Ascended seeded many worlds, each according to its nature. The Dominion sought to suppress this evolution. We will nurture it." As the ceremony concluded, Ilara slipped away from the crowds and made her way to a quiet balcony overlooking the Hudson River. Admiral Chen found her there, watching the sunset paint the water in shades of gold and crimson. "Quite a speech," he said, joining her at the railing. "You've given humanity a new vision of itself." "Not just humanity," she corrected gently. "All intelligent life in this corner of the galaxy. We're part of something larger now." Chen studied her face. "And you? The doctors say your cellular structure continues to change. Are you still one of us?" Ilara turned to him, her eyes reflecting. The sun set with unusual brilliance. "I am human, Admiral. Changed, yes, but still connected to my origins. I'm the bridge between what we were and what we're becoming." "And what is that exactly?" She smiled, looking toward the stars now becoming visible in the darkening sky. "Something wonderful. The Ascended showed me glimpses of potential futures, humanity spreading throughout the stars not as conquerors, but as explorers and creators. Our consciousness expanding beyond physical limitations while still cherishing our physical existence. Sounds like a tall order," Chen remarked with characteristic pragmatism. "It won't happen overnight," Ilara acknowledged. "Maybe not for thousands of years, but the path is open now, and we're not walking it alone." As night fell over a liberated Earth, the first of many ships departed for the stars, not military vessels but explorers and diplomats carrying messages of peace and cooperation. Among the distant suns, other species waited, some just awakening to intelligence, others ancient and wise, all part of the cosmic tapestry that the Ascended had helped weave. And watching over them all, bridging the gap between physical existence and transcendent potential, Ilara Voss continued her own journey of transformation. Humanity's herald to the stars and the stars' gift to humanity.